Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Coin is Extra Visual Panel Discussion. It is a weekly program where we educate people in the ecosystem about what is happening in pressing issues, matters arising. We invite experts and innovators in the ecosystem to do that. Actually, today is the 14th episode and the second edition we are going live. So we have today joining us to talk about a topic that people have been asking about in the ecosystem. We have Mohammed Naqib. Mohammed Naqib is the fintech expert, Saudi Arabia. Mohammed, you're welcome to Coinbase Extra.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. Good to be here.
You are welcome. It's our pleasure to have you. So another person that will be helping us to talk about this topic is Shantu Sasena. Shantu Sasena is a consultant, fintech, and crypto. Shantu, you are welcome to Coinbase Extra.
Yeah. Thank you, Lee. Nice to meet you. Mohammed, nice to meet you as well. Thank you for having me with you.
It's a pleasure. So we'll be waiting. Okay. It's like Rami is joining. So we are glad to have our participants, audience who are watching us live. In case you have any questions, that's how we do it. In case you have any questions that you have for our participants, you can drop your questions on the comment section. So we'll be reading it, and our panelists will do justice to each and every questions that you ask. So today's topic, we are talking about the future of DeFi. DeFi being the short form of decentralized finance. We have seen what is happening in the ecosystem, how things are happening, and all the rest of them. So that's why we came up with this topic. So before we proceed, who want to know, before some people, they don't really understand what DeFi is. People are confused about it. When you say DeFi, they are confusing it. So what is DeFi? Mohammed, let me start with you. What's the definition of DeFi?
Okay, DeFi basically it is a short form of decentralized finance. It started with the onset of the introduction of cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies was basically they brought about the decentralization concept. So basically in 2017, when there was a boom in the ICO area and there was like new cryptocurrencies being introduced almost every day, people came up with this concept of decentralizing finance for the benefit of the unbanked population. So basically, you can say decentralized finance that came up in 2017, and since then, the major platform that decentralized finance is hosted on is Ethereum. Almost around 1.9 to $2 billion of money is locked on decentralized finance. So basically, as the name suggests, it's a complete opposition to centralized finance, which is the current financial system, and it consists of everything: providing loans, borrowing, staking, or even rewarding of the users by like putting it in the financial system. But unless the traditional banks, it removes all the layers of intermediaries and the middlemen that would normally be involved to the use of smart contracts. So smart contracts we will discuss later, but in a very short statement, smart contracts are self-executing programs that takes care of the rules that are associated, which basically helps in removing the middleman.
Okay, that's very interesting. Shantanu, what's your take? What's your definition of what DeFi is?
Well, first of all, I will be saying some terms, and what I will do during this time is I will be explaining these terms as well. Now, what happens is we are always, whenever we think about discussions, at least I get confused. I'll be very honest with you, having a decent amount of crypto and payments experience. But let's look at the financial world. The financial world consists of financial services, which includes lending, borrowing, insurances, savings, trading, and various other activities form the financial ecosystem. Now, in the last hundreds of years, what we have seen is all of these things have been centralized, which means the power is either being held by governments or by institutions, private mostly. And what these institutions are doing is they are dictating the terms for the past few hundred years. We have to think about DeFi as decentralized finance, for example, as Mohammed rightly explained. Now think about all of these services available at a global level with the help of a mobile phone and internet, where there is an interaction between peer to peer, which means if I want to borrow money, rather than going to a bank, I log on to one of those platforms like Compound. Compound, we will discuss about it later. But what stops Lee to give loan to Shantanu at X percentage? And by virtue of this, we remove all the middlemen in the process, which makes the entire process flows very smooth. How is it done? It's done with the help of dApps, which is decentralized apps as well. The rules are there, but the rules in this context are written in programs, in languages. So, in simple terms, decentralized finance or DeFi is a beautiful concept of decentralizing the financial services and the products in a more innovative yet technology driven formats. So, I hope this is the easiest way for me to explain what DeFi is.
Yes, you explained it well. Still with you, Shantanu, that has brought us to this question. You've been able to explain it, and when you were explaining what DeFi is, you made mention of briefly how it works. So, in details, how does it work,
Right.
the DeFi?
So really what happens is, so you have got the infrastructures. So as I said, the decentralized finance can be broken down into various aspects, as I just explained. But the most important is infrastructure. Now, 99% of the DeFi projects run on Ethereum. That contributes the majority of these applications, which are run on smart contracts. Now, smart contract in simple terms is nothing but rules written in a technical format which can be made public, which is managed by not an individual but by technology, where the rules are predefined and the decisions are based on the rules, what is already been defined. So there is zero to no human interaction when these smart contracts are actually implemented in the real world. And really, then what happens is using these infrastructures, you can build permutation and combination of products and services around that area. Now, think about blockchain, cryptos, and decentralized finance as three different concepts that we have been hearing about. What happens if a project or a provider like Compound comes into the picture? All these years we were always asked the question, what do I do with crypto other than speculation? Not even trading, people call it speculation in the open world. And the crypto industry was looking for an answer. So Compound, for example, has provided an answer wherein I can lend my bitcoins to Mohammed at X percentage. So that's a beautiful way of putting things together: blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and financial products. So you have a use case of financial services really through these elements.
Okay, Mohammed, how does it work from your own understanding?
See, Shantanu, I think he has covered almost everything. But yes, to reinstate what he has said, DeFi completely works on the concept of smart contracts. I mean, we have to understand how smart contracts work. Smart contracts, they were introduced with the introduction of Ethereum. I mean, when Ethereum came, the basic difference, not the basic difference, the major difference that it brought from Bitcoin was the introduction of smart contracts. So basically, self-executing programs running on its layer one, which takes care of the transactions without the interference of any other intermediary. I mean, you just write the rules, you put it on the blockchain, just because the blockchain is immutable and it cannot be changed. So the rules, they are always running without the fear of getting changed. So this is a very important concept in when it comes to decentralization and especially finance, because it helps in minimizing costs in a lot of way, especially during the major use case that have been seen in this is the cost of the Swift payments going down. I mean, Swift payments is one of the areas where decentralized finance has really impacted in a major way. And it has also given the feeling of a trustless and a permissionless system, where like one of the biggest changes is the emergence of systems that are automatically verifying transactions. So the whole concept of the decentralized finance, the working of decentralized finance, is like revolving around the working of smart contracts.
Okay, thank you very much, Mohammed. You really done justice to that. In case you are joining us here, still on to Coin's extra visual blockchain panel discussion. So we are talking about DeFi. So if you have questions concerning this topic, you can drop it at the comment sections. We will be able to answer them. So continuing, Mohammed, you've been able to explain how this DeFi, how it functions. So, and we are in the ecosystem. I won't been able to know what is going on. We have, I will put it, CeFi, decentralized finance, how it functions. So, what are some of the advantages of DeFi over centralized finance? Shantanu made mention of briefly when he was saying something. So what can you say about it? What are the advantages? Why should I go for it? Still with you, Mohammed.
Okay. It's to me. I thought it's to Shantanu. Okay. So basically, DeFi, decentralized finance, it can benefit the individuals, the businesses in the same way. For the businesses, it benefits in a lot of way. Like, for example, it enables in facilitating the loaning and the recovery of the loans. This is one area where like the traditional banks basically, I mean, the traditional banks, they face a lot of cost cuts and loss of financial numbers when it comes to like the recovery of loans. And the individuals over here, they can benefit in a way like since the rules are already encompassed in the smart contracts, they get how do you put it, like they get enforced automatically. So there's a chance of getting duped, or the chance of having a fake financial system. Like a lot of times we also receive these kind of like offers of loans and of benefits to individuals from the bad parties. But in case of like decentralized finance, where all the rules are being taken care by the smart contracts, and all the rules are being basically enforced by the system, and there's no human party involved, so all these areas, they are removed, and the whole thing boils down to an increased trust. So me as an individual, I will if I see that there are immutable rules that are taking care of my demands, and the way the system is fulfilling my requests, I will trust this system more than the one where people are involved and intermediaries are involved, where I might have a chance of the promises not being fulfilled. So this is one area where I really feel that decentralized finance is going to benefit the case of like P2P lending and loaning and borrowing of financial assets.
Okay, Shantanu, what's your take on that? The advantage it has.
Well, I think the first advantage, as I said, is it's global. All you need is a smartphone and internet. So I don't see a reason why I have to be in a specific country. For example, if I am not in London and I want to access my banking or open a bank account without having to go there, I should be able to do it. So, number one thing is decentralized finance uh, brings everybody together, which also means not just are you able to access the system, but that also means is you have an open network, which also means, in other terms, what I'm trying to say is the liquidity pools are much bigger. Even if we talk about crypto exchanges today, they are all centralized. But what happens if I want to buy a specific crypto and you, Lee, want to sell a specific crypto? You become a market maker of that particular crypto, and there are liquidity pools available. So it will enhance liquidity as well. The other major advantage is open APIs, which means if you have an idea, if you can do permutation and combination of products and services, if you are innovative, the systems here will support your innovation in such a way that you can bring other beautiful products into the ecosystem. The third thing is because it's a decentralized element, it will also give users an access. So, for example, if you find a bug in a specific system, because of the open network and dApps, which is decentralized apps on which the sophisticated program runs, you can go and make changes to the programs and basically remove the bugs and help the community get better products. So these are some of the advantages. And the major one, I think, is you remove the middlemen. In a lot of these financial products, you get rid of the middlemen who are controlling the markets right now. So it goes back to the community to decide what is it that they're looking for. So these are, I think, a few advantages in my opinion.
Okay, for the communities to decide what are the advantages. So that takes us to another question here.
Right.
Some our audience, they may be listening and some of them will be wondering how
Mhm.
it's not about listening to a webinar, people talk about it, or they will be asking
Right.
questions, how does it benefit me? How is it going to benefit me as an individual, as a business or
Right.
company? So, Shatnu,
Yeah, sure. So sorry, is that a question?
yeah,
How
yeah, yeah.
does
I was asking, how is he, as an individual, a company, how is he the decentralized finance? How is he going to help them? How is he going to play a role in helping individuals and companies?
That's a good question. I think that's what we want to get to. So the first thing here is, how about the fact if you're able to borrow cryptos? So, or say you have got cryptos in your wallet and it's doing nothing but sitting idle. What happens if you're able to invest these cryptos in such a product which gives you return of anywhere between 1 to 5% on the products that you have? So that is one way wherein you can actually earn money for what you have. The second thing is if you are able to bring more liquidity to the system, you're able to bring new products and services to the system, you can actually innovate and work with the community. Think about, I mean, at this point in time, lending and borrowing is playing a major role in streaming of the industry. But going forward, you will see a lot of new products coming in, especially on the regulatory aspects. So this is how it will help the community in the long term. Number one is it will bring everybody together and get rid of middlemen, as I repeated previously. So I
Okay,
hope that answers.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Mohammed, what's your take?
Sorry, what was the question?
How is he going to benefit? People will be asking, how is it going to benefit me as an individual or as a company? How is decentralized finance going to benefit me?
As an individual, I think decentralized finance has a major benefit, as I already explained months back. Like when there is a concept of P2P lending, and where there's a concept of intermediaries getting removed, so gradually the costs come down. Okay, because the more intermediaries are involved during the transaction,
Hello, Mohammed.
borrowing a part of the loan from an individual, and there are a lot of intermediaries that are involved, that are basically involved in approval flow. So first, the cost goes up. Second, the time for the whole process to execute also increases. So in case of when the smart contracts are basically involved in this, and there are the friction between the humans that decrease, so the cost decreases, and also as well as the overall time taken for the whole process to complete, this goes down. So in this way, I think there's a huge benefit for the individuals, and especially for the small scale industries where the profit margin is basically very less. So it's a huge benefit for the small and medium scale industries as well. And not to mention, yes, the big industries and the big players, they get benefited equally as well. But the major benefit, what I feel, is for the individuals and the small and medium scale industries.
Okay, that's interesting. Before we proceed to another question that I have, we have questions from our audience. Maybe we can take some of the questions from them. This person is asking. There is no name. Didn't put any name. They say, does DeFi helps in gaming? Any use cases that you can share? So this person is asking, does DeFi help in gaming? Anybody can answer it.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I haven't seen any use cases so far, or maybe, rather than giving wrong information as to what I'm not aware of, I wouldn't be able to comment on this. But I don't think I haven't come across really anything in terms of gaming, and how decentralized finance is a part of gaming as at this point in time. But as I said before, that there are ways, if you have an idea, there are a lot of companies who are coming on the infrastructure level. You can collaborate with them, and maybe if you have an idea, you can always discuss. But I'm not aware of any.
Okay. Another question here. You say is from Adeyemi Michael Adorubeni. He said, please expatiate more on Ethereum smart contract and how it relates to the Forsage smart contract. This one is about smart contract. Do you have anyone about this question? Okay.
Yeah,
Let's.
I can maybe go ahead if quickly explain. As I said before, uh, at this point in time, 99% of the DeFi projects are based on the Ethereum smart contracts. And what is a smart contract? As I explained before, it runs on blockchain. It's a sophisticated program which runs on blockchain. And really, what happens in this case is the rules are predefined, and the decisions are based on the rules which are defined in terms of a language. And this is how really it works. Now, depending on what you are looking at, the product and services you want to bring in, you can accordingly modify the programs, which is the infrastructure really, and make it you or maybe use it in permutation and combination of resources and see what works best for you.
Okay,
I hope
another
it
question.
clarifies.
Yeah, another question is Kings Island. He said, I'm new into crypto. Is there any risk investing into crypto? And what is the right crypto to start as a freshman?
Financial advice.
This is not a financial advice, but is there anything anyone can put about talk about this?
When
Well,
Okay, Shantanu.
go ahead. I'll say later on.
Okay. See, when I was new to this area, and this question is one of the first questions that usually pops up to people who get into the area of cryptocurrency. But I remember this advice from Andreas Antonopoulos, and he's one of my favorite speakers. He says that invest only that amount of your of your whole savings that you are prepared to lose. This is the advice that I've also heard from many different people as well. uh, I mean, you should be able to invest only your spare amount, or only that amount that I mean that you think that is okay if it gets lost, because the market is extremely volatile. Bitcoin is obviously one of the most promising cryptocurrencies. It is one of the most widely accepted cryptocurrencies, but it's extremely volatile even now. I mean, just in March it went down to $5,300, and now it's around 9,000, 8,500 to $10,000. It's ranging between that. So this volatility is one of the like downing figures of this area. So as you said, this is not a financial advice, and what is required in this area is education before actually going into investment, or before doing any investment as well. What is the requirement is to educate, like how to transact, how to earn cryptocurrency rather than buying. People usually they buy cryptocurrencies. So they should learn how to earn cryptocurrencies, and this is the way they actually learn this area or this trade. And then how to use the wallets, what are cold wallets, hot wallets, how to choose the right wallets. So these are the things that should be taken as the first steps, rather than like delving into should I make investment, or shall I buy cryptocurrencies or not. Like, this is my personal opinion, I can say.
Great. Well, I would just add to what Mohammed said. I completely agree that you shouldn't invest a lot of money, like what more than what you can afford. However, my personal opinion is I differ a little bit. I feel that this is the future of money, and we are in an era which will experience the biggest explosion in financial services. This has not happened for the past few hundred years, and this is the time. However, you should invest, but with a vision to invest an amount which you want to safeguard, and you diversify your portfolio. Investing in cryptos is like investing in a stock or any other market, which is volatile as well. But you choose the right product. You choose a product not just because others are doing it, because you believe in it. You must see who is the team behind the project. What is it that they have delivered in the past? Do they make sense? Or is it another scam? We come across a lot of these issues while I was working with your B. Every now and then we came across all these scamsters who were trying to pretend to be something, and they were taking away the money earned by people. Uh, I would suggest think about DeFi as one of the areas and investing in tools which gives you return. As Mohammed said, by the way, these tools are not foolproof. There can be challenges to it as well, but think about really compound. It's not big. I mean, I'm not an advocate of compound, but I quite like the idea. I quite like the project. It works fairly well, um, which gives you returns. Think about PI networks. That's one of the applications which I came across some time back. And all what you're doing is you're mining cryptos on your mobile phone. I mean, there is no risk. You're not investing any money. All what you're doing is mining and becoming a part of the community. So these are some simple ways of getting to understand cryptos. Rather than investing huge amounts, DeFi is a great way to get into the market with as low as $5. So that's not something, even if you have a challenge there, you don't risk a lot of money. So think about all of these ideas before you invest your hard-earned money in cryptos.
Okay, we have last question here. Maybe we can still give our audience. Just hold on. We can give some of our audience time to those that want to ask. I will unmute them. They can ask questions directly. But the last question here, I don't think he said there is no name. If I am not a developer, how do I earn from smart contract? Oh,
Do I no? It's
I
how do I
think
earn from? How do we earn, or it's learn? What's the question?
he said
Is
that's
it learn?
what the
I
person
don't
is.
understand.
If I'm not a developer, how do I earn from smart contract? So,
Notification of
I
he,
think
how.
we did cover this in the past, like just while we were discussing, we did cover this up as if you have some cryptos, how you can get return on your cryptos. That's one way to earn really. At least I'm aware of one way, which is through lending and borrowing. Not borrowing, but lending is the way you can earn.
okay,
The
because
last service as well. I mean, for example, if you are you can sell your stuffs on the crypto trading websites in exchange of crypto rather than fiat. So this is like one of the easiest ways to earn crypto. People have sold their houses and cars in exchange of crypto. You can sell your small items, or like this guy is saying that he's not a developer. Okay, you don't have to develop applications and sell them or in terms in exchange of crypto. You can create your own stuffs. You can create your own whatever you're good at, and you can sell them in exchange of crypto. There are trading websites like Paxos who pay you back in crypto. So like this is one of the easiest ways I think you can earn crypto there.
Okay, let me give some of our participants the opportunity to ask questions directly. If you are asking questions, please tell us your name, your location, and you go straight to your questions. Hello? Okay, let me check.
Sure. Sorry, guys, I will have to be off this call soon. I have to jump on another call pretty soon now.
Okay, we'll be rounding up very soon, just a few
Sure.
minutes. So in a few minutes, we'll be rounding up. We are done with our questions. Okay, let me see. Okay, nobody is responding.
You can take up the questions later in the
Okay,
emails.
okay, you can type in your questions. Finally, a question from me before we go. We cannot talk about DeFi without we have discussed what it is and its benefits. Every each business there are some risks associated to it. So, what are the risks associated to DeFi? Shantanu.
Sure. I think the biggest risk is security. Though these things, these platforms are coming up pretty quickly, and I think we did discuss about this. In the last 3 weeks, the total investment value has gone up to $2 billion. It has almost doubled in the last 3 weeks. However, when things are going so quick, you have to be very careful as well. And especially, there is no central bank, there's no regulations which is taking care of such an activity in the background. So I would think that the most important thing is safety and security, the risk that comes with such platforms. That's one take. And the other thing is we are still in the early stages. I think a lot of developments will come in, the interface will get better. Uh, so these are really the two areas which I would suggest people should be careful about, especially investments is something where they should think before they put their money in.
Okay, Mohammed, what's your take? What are the risks associated with it?
Number one is the security risks. There are security risks associated to the smart contract. Especially as an individual, there is a risk of the private keys getting lost. As Shantanu rightly said, there are no regulations currently, and since the basic property of the blockchain is irreversible transactions, so there is no way to reverse the activities that you have done. So since see, because this is one sometimes this is an advantage as well in the centralized systems, because there are ways to basically mitigate your take control of the mistakes that you do. Okay, but in case of when it comes to the transactions on the blockchain, they are irreversible. You cannot get back what you have lost, and this is one area where people have lost a lot of money, and especially in terms of exchange hacks, where that have happened in the past. A lot of money has been invested and has been lost, and basically the way they are given back to the investors or the people who have kept the money on the exchanges is from the owners of the from the exchanges, from their own pockets. And also there's a problem with the legality of the rules or the or the policies that are encompassed in the smart contracts, because if they are not audited properly. So this is one new area of legal tech that has come up recently, is auditing of smart contracts, and this is basically it comes to the area of DeFi, decentralized finance, because if if we are not aware of what rules are actually going inside to take care of the whole ecosystem, then there are it will be easy for the the bad parties to actually smuggle your whole to rob you completely. So this is one area which I feel is a risk factor, and there are cases as well. I mean, we can discuss this later in a detailed way about the hacks and the security issues of the smart contracts. But this is one area where millions have already been lost.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we close, we are grateful to our sponsors, the sponsors of this program. We are grateful to Nimedis. Nimedis is running their IEO very soon. That should be on 12th. We are grateful to MTech, and we are also grateful to Miami University Blockchain Club. Thank you very much. I don't know, do we still have time to take any questions, or should we draw the curtain here? I don't know for, do we have time to answer some other questions? Some of our participants are asking questions here.
Sure. I'm sorry, I can answer it later. Lee, if you can send me on LinkedIn, I can answer those questions later if that's okay.
Okay.
I'm 8 minutes late for another 8 minutes late for another call, please. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Mohammed Naqib, for joining us today on Coin News Extra.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank
Cheers.
you,
Thank you.
Shantanu.
Thank you for having us.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you,
Bye-bye.
participants, for joining us too. We are grateful. We love you all. Bye bye.
Thank you,
We will be
participants.
out
Thank you,
today.
everyone.